In my last video, Heads Up, the Fog is Here, I mentioned Operation Sea Spray and Popeye as possible methods behind what appears to be the mysterious fog phenomenon. For those who haven't heard about these declassified projects or don't have the time to research, I made this video for you. I hope you appreciate my effort and concern and that you ponder over what you are about to discover. So, let's start with Operation Sea Spray. This was a secret experiment conducted by the U.S. Army between 1950 and 1953 in San Francisco, California. The goal? To test the spread of biological agents in a real urban environment. So, according to disclosed declassified information, on September 20th, 1950, the Army sprayed a bacteria called Serratia marcescens into the air over San Francisco. The bacteria, believed to be harmless at the time, was used to simulate biological warfare. What they didn't anticipate, or perhaps didn't care about, was the human cost. Soon after the experiment, residents began falling ill, and one man even died from a rare infection. The shocking part? No one in the city knew this was happening. So, in essence, the USA government secretly exposed 800,000 residents to this bacteria, all in the name of research. Operation Sea Spray revealed how easily biological agents could be dispersed into the environment, and how willing the United States government was to experiment on its own citizens. Now, let's move to Operation Popeye. This was a weather modification program used by the U.S. military during the Vietnam War from 1967 to 1972. The aim of Operation Popeye was simple: to weaponize the weather. Using cloud seeding technology, they sprayed chemicals like silver iodide into clouds to increase rainfall over key areas. The goal was to extend the monsoon season in Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia, making enemy movement and supply routes, especially the Ho Chi Minh Trail, nearly impossible to use. So now, here's a fact to consider. This operation resulted in prolonged and intensified flooding in the region, causing immense destruction not just to the enemy, but also to the environment and local populations. The phrase they used to describe this was chillingly direct: make mud, not war. Did you hear this? The phrase used to describe Operation Popeye was, make mud, not war. So, to achieve mud, the plan was to extend the monsoon season in Vietnam. To clarify, a monsoon and a hurricane are very different weather phenomena, and understanding the distinction can help make sense of their respective impacts. So, I asked ChatGPT, what is the difference between a monsoon and a hurricane? The reply is, a monsoon is seasonal weather pattern, characterized by changes in wind direction, which bring prolonged periods of heavy rainfall to certain regions. It continues. Monsoons are caused by the uneven heating of land and ocean. In summer, land heats up faster than the ocean, creating low-pressure areas that draw in moist air from the sea. This results in heavy rain over land for weeks or months. Monsoons are common in tropical and subtropical regions like Southeast Asia, South Asia, and parts of Africa. For example, Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia experience monsoon seasons that bring heavy, consistent rains. Monsoon rains are vital for agriculture, but can also lead to flooding, landslides, and disruptions to infrastructure. ChatGPT continues. In the case of Operation Popeye, cloud seeding was used to artificially extend the monsoon season, causing persistent rain to disrupt enemy supply routes like the Ho Chi Minh Trail. On the other hand, according to ChatGPT, a hurricane or typhoon is a powerful tropical cyclone, a large, rotating storm system with strong winds, heavy rain, and often catastrophic destruction. Hurricanes form over warm ocean waters. They develop when warm, moist air over the ocean rises and meets cooler air above, creating a cycle of rising and falling air. The Earth's rotation causes this system to spin, forming a cyclone. So, according to ChatGPT, the key differences in the context of Operation Popeye. The US military manipulated monsoon rains, a seasonal weather pattern, not hurricanes. By seeding clouds during the Vietnam War, they increased rainfall, prolonging the already wet monsoon season to turn roads and trails into mud, making enemy movement difficult. Hurricanes, on the other hand, are not seasonal like monsoons and cannot be sustained or extended. They are singular, intense storms, while monsoons involve long periods of rain over a broad region. Understanding this distinction helps clarify the role of weather manipulation in Operation Popeye. It wasn't about creating massive storms like hurricanes, but rather about intensifying and prolonging naturally occurring rain during the monsoon season to achieve a tactical advantage. But such technology of the 1960s doesn't stop here. If we go deeper into the rabbit hole, we will find the 1953 MK Ultra project. What is this? It's a CIA-led program, infamous for its attempts to control the human mind. Starting in 1953 and lasting for 2 decades, this project was focused on experimenting with psychological manipulation. According to declassified information, the CIA subjected unwitting citizens to dangerous experiments involving LSD, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and even electroshock therapy. These tests often occurred in hospitals, prisons, and universities, with participants completely unaware of what was being done to them. One notable case was Frank Olson, a CIA employee who was allegedly given LSD without his knowledge. Days later, he died after falling from a New York City hotel window under suspicious circumstances. His death remains, mystery. But it exemplifies the extremes to which this program went. According to ChatGPT, MK Ultra wasn't just theoretical. It aimed to discover methods to manipulate people's thoughts and behaviors, both in war and in peace. When the program was exposed in the 1970s, it became one of the biggest scandals in US history. Yet many believe similar experiments could still be happening today under different names. Importance of dates and ongoing concerns. These projects, Seaspray, Popeye, and MK Ultra, show a clear timeline of experimentation, starting as early as the 1950s. The importance of these dates cannot be overstated. They demonstrate how long governments have been capable of manipulating environments, weather, and even human minds. Even more concerning is the possibility that these technologies didn't stop when these projects ended. With advancements in technology and the lack of transparency, it's reasonable to question whether such operations are still happening, perhaps on an even larger scale.
Mr. Thomas McClellan?
I'm 59 years old from New York City. I've been a victim of ongoing non-consensual human subject experimentation for my entire adult life, and possibly may have been a victim since my childhood. I have been targeted with ongoing microwave weapons, as well as drugging with neurotoxic contaminants covertly placed on articles of clothing, as well as on other personal possessions. I believe my being a non-consensual human test subject is related to the CIA's MK Ultra behavior modification program that began in the 1950s. Moreover, after I read a July 1963 CIA MK Ultra report that became unclassified in 1994 and emphasized that it would be necessary to test unwitting citizens in their ordinary day-to-day activities without their knowledge in the final stage of the testing program, I believe that I could be one of those many thousands of civilians that were unwittingly tested in the CIA's behavior modification program.
People know my background from yesterday's speech that my real specialty is artificial intelligence and robotics and redefining what human beings will be in the future. So I was talking a little bit about, mind control in particular, and something that I worked on that I'm not proud of, but it's called the Voice of God weapon. So there are 4 different techniques and technologies that can pipe voices into an individual's head. And once you can do that, you can control them using neuro-linguistic programming techniques. You're rewiring their thought processes and brains. And so this gets into what's called offensive information warfare. And they used it, I believe, in the Gulf War to tell the enemy at that time, lay down your guns, this is Allah. And it worked pretty well because hearing voices which have no direction or sound, you have to assume that it's some spiritual entity. So it works pretty well.
I became an inventor by accident. I was out of the Air Force in 1956. No, that's not true. I went in 1956. Came out in 1959, my 44th patent, about the 15th invention. I called this hypersonic sound. Now, after almost 80 years of having sound, I thought it was about time we figure out a way to put sound where you want to. What if I could aim sound the way I aim light? I got this waterfall I recorded in my backyard. Now, you're not going to hear a thing unless it hits you. Maybe if I hit the sidewall, it bounce around the room. The sound is being made right next to your ears. Is that cool? So again, this idea of being able to put sound anywhere you want to is really starting to catch on. We've got the military had just deployed some of these into Iraq where you can put fake troop movements a quarter of a mile away on a hillside. Or you can whisper in the ear of a supposed terrorist some biblical verse.
In 2018, the World Economic Forum discussed the possibilities of mind control using sound waves. This is something that several people have claimed to be a target of. They have become known as targeted individuals. A subcommittee for Homeland Security was recently held to discuss this technology and the targeting of U.S. government employees and their families. This is commonly known as the Havana Syndrome and dates back to 2016 when U.S. diplomatic personnel in Cuba experienced unexplained health problems.
Guys, if your assessments here are correct, these are very covert weapons, aren't they? They don't leave behind bomb fragments, bullet holes, etc. They could absolutely be used by our adversaries and have very low levels of, very easy to deny that they were even there, that they were used. Is that correct?
That's correct. There's no entry or exit wound. How they're designed is to make the target feel like they're crazy, like they're imagining things, especially on the low duration, the low intensity, long duration hits.
Have any of you 3 panelists ever seen one of these weapons?
I have seen a 1991 version of the weapon, and it looks like a satellite dish with a unit this size attached to it. And of course, over the years, miniaturization has been possible. Obviously, there's a limitation to how miniaturized it can be because of the antenna size, which is always related to the wave. But still, it is something that can be well contained in the trunk of a car or even a large backpack. My experience shows that it can be cobbled together. It's something that can, a rough, crude version of this that would probably require longer exposure than the more advanced version that has been tested. as we see from this document, can be put together inexpensively. But again, I would abstain from commenting further, lest I encourage people to try it at home.
What you all are saying is there's a government cover-up of the fact that something is out there afflicting, targeting us.
The government in the IC assessment is wrong. It's dead wrong. I can't tell you if it's a cover-up, why they're doing this, malfeasance. I won't go there.
So cover-up would depend on intent. There could be good reasons to withhold information. I will say that the public statements that the executive branch is making is inconsistent with the classified record. And then it would be Congress's job as an oversight authority to determine why that is, whether it was a legitimate reason to mislead the public or because of some nefarious reason, or all the above. Mr. Grozev said you spoke to a Russian agent who said that they believe that Americans are using these same weapons on them. Is that correct?
That is correct, back in the 80s.
Might that have something to do with part of the CIA's motive to cover up the existence of this tech and these weapons?
That is a very logical possibility.
While it was admitted that this technology is being used, the discussion was focused primarily on Russia, as if to create more incentive to escalate war with the Russian Federation. When the question of whether it has been used on the American population was raised, it was dismissed with a smile.
Are any of you aware of any reported incidents from individuals who are not members of the United States government? Domestically, I should say?
There are many people who believe they are victims of AHIs. All you have to do is look at my Twitter feed whenever I post on the topic. I only represent federal government employees and their families, so I don't focus on the accuracy of those particular claims.
There is plenty of evidence showing that the targeted individuals who claim to be victims of this were the guinea pigs in today's all-out assault on the American people. And our government is far more concerned with starting another war. Reporting for InfoWars, this is Greg Reese.
Now you understand why I'm skeptical and find it hard to trust governments. All of this, experimenting on their own people, reveals a chilling truth. Those in power place little value on human life, regardless of whether you're their citizen or not. The idea of protection and care is nothing more than an illusion, a carefully crafted facade to maintain control. As people of this world, we must begin to question this narrative, to see through the deception, and to understand the reality of the systems that govern us.